Behind every war, there's a strategy. Behind every alliance, a calculation. The world isn't chaotic, that it's engineered. This is decoding encode. Every generation believes it might witness a world war. Before World War I, Europe was economically interconnected. Before World War II, leaders believed diplomacy would prevent catastrophe. Today, we see rising tensions: Russia versus Ukraine, US versus China, India versus Pakistan, Middle East instability, NATO expansion, Taiwan tensions, nuclear threats. The question is not emotional, it's strategic. Is World War III actually possible? Or is the world structured in a way that prevents it? Today, we decode. 1. What does World War actually mean? A world war is not just multiple countries fighting. It requires major global powers directly fighting each other, multiple continents involved, large-scale military mobilization, economic systems redirected toward total war, alliances clashing openly. World War I and World War II were not regional conflicts. They were systemic collapses of global order. So the real question is today's global system close to systemic collapse? 2. The nuclear deterrence factor. The biggest difference between today and 1939. Nuclear weapons. 9 countries possess nuclear weapons. The US and Russia alone control more than 90% of the world's nuclear arsenal. This creates something called mutually assured destruction, MAD. If two nuclear superpowers directly fight, both lose, both collapse. Possibly civilization collapses. This changes incentives. In World War II, leaders could gamble on victory. In a nuclear world, total war equals total destruction. That is a powerful deterrent, which is why superpowers avoid direct war. Instead, 3. The rise of proxy wars. Look closely at modern conflicts. Russia versus Ukraine, with NATO backing Ukraine indirectly. Iran versus Israel through regional actors, US versus China, tensions in Taiwan and the South China Sea. Major powers rarely fight each other directly. They fight through smaller nations, militias, economic sanctions, cyber warfare, information warfare. This is called proxy conflict. It allows countries to compete without triggering nuclear escalation. In other words, the battlefield has changed. War is now economic, digital, strategic, not just military. 4. Economic interdependence. A hidden safety net. Before World War I, trade existed, but it wasn't deeply integrated. Today, global supply chains are interconnected. China manufactures for America. America consumes from China. Europe depends on global energy markets. India trades with both East and West. If a full-scale world war breaks out, stock markets collapse, energy supply crashes, global trade freezes, banking systems destabilize, modern economies are too interconnected for prolonged total war. Leaders know this. War today destroys not just armies, but entire financial systems, and no superpower wants economic suicide. 5. But here's the dangerous part. World wars don't usually start intentionally. They start through miscalculation, escalation, alliance entanglements, overconfidence. In 1914, a regional assassination in Sarajevo triggered alliance obligations, and within weeks, the world was at war. Today, similar risk factors exist. NATO expansion and Russian security concerns, US-China rivalry over Taiwan, Middle East volatility, accidental military incidents. One wrong move, one misread signal, one missile mistake. Escalation is rarely planned. It spirals. This is where the real risk lies. 6. The US-China equation. If World War III were to happen, it would likely involve the US and China. Why? Because global power transition is historically dangerous. When a rising power challenges an established power, tensions increase. This is sometimes called the Thucydides trap. China is rising economically and militarily. The United States remains the dominant military and financial power. The Taiwan issue is the most sensitive flashpoint. If Taiwan becomes a direct military confrontation between China and the US, escalation risks increase dramatically. However, both economies are deeply interdependent. which again raises the cost of war. 7. The role of technology. Modern warfare is different. Future global conflict would not look like World War II. It would include cyber attacks on power grids, AI controlled drone warfare, satellite disruptions, financial system hacking, information manipulation. The first shots of World War III might not be bombs, they might be code, and many experts argue we are already in a form of hybrid global conflict, just not open total war. 8. So, is World War III likely? Let's break it strategically. High probability of regional wars? Yes. High probability of proxy conflicts? Very high. Economic warfare? Already happening. Cold War style rivalry? Absolutely. But full scale global military confrontation between nuclear superpowers? Low probability, but not zero. The system discourages it. But human error, political ego, and miscalculation remain unpredictable variables. No major world war happens immediately from a single conflict. Expecting World War III to break out right now because of the Israel Iran war is unrealistic. While this conflict has intensified regional tensions and triggered warnings from global powers about wider escalation, experts do not see it as the start of a global war, at least not yet. However, the world is facing multiple interconnected geopolitical crises, and overlapping disturbances over the next few years could increase global instability. The Israel Iran conflict may be one piece of that puzzle, but it is far from guaranteed that it alone will trigger a full scale world war within the next 3 to 4 years. 9. The real threat: controlled chaos. Here's the deeper truth: modern powers don't always seek total war, they seek controlled instability, because instability reshapes alliances, weakens rivals, justifies military spending, expands influence. The goal may not be World War III. The goal may be strategic advantage without crossing the nuclear line. And that is what makes today's world complex. Final thought: peace comes after war. Still, I am saying World War III is not inevitable, but global tension is structural. We are living in a multipolar transition where power is shifting, alliances are evolving, and old systems are being tested. The world is not random, it is strategic. And the question is not, will there be a world war? The question is, can global powers manage rivalry without catastrophic escalation? That is the real game, and it is still unfolding. Power moves silently. Strategy shapes the world. If you want to understand what's really happening, stay with Decoding Encode. Thank you.